All right, thanks for the introduction, Ben. Hi, everyone. Today, we're going to discuss 10 opportunities for list growth. We came up with 10 opportunities based upon what we've seen work with our clients and comparing it to industry research. So keep in mind, every business is different, and what has worked for one company might not necessarily work for yours. So our goal for this webinar is for you to learn 2 or 3 things that you can bring back to your organization and begin trying. I also want to note that some of these examples are from our clients and some are not. We want to provide you with good examples regardless of where they came from. Let's begin with a high-level overview. So the first thing you want to do is think about the value you're going to present to your customers. What do you want to talk to them about, and why should they care? It's possible that what you believe this to be and what your customers believe this to be is different. So ask your customers, why are they your customers? Explain your intentions, including how frequently you'll be sending information, and make sure your subscribers are aware of your privacy policy. It's your responsibility to follow both CAN-SPAM and anti-spam policies in other countries your subscribers might reside. If you're with an ESP, they probably have terms of service that you must follow, and these terms of service are likely guided by email marketing best practices. When I say email marketing best practices, I'm referring to stuff like only send to contacts who have explicitly opted into your list, perform regular list maintenance to remove inactive subscribers, offer an easy way for recipients to unsubscribe, send relevant branded content, and the big one here, avoid using purchased, rented, or shared lists. And don't forget, a picture is worth 1,000 words, so if you can, provide samples of your archives. Here we're looking at a page from the National Museum of Art at Duke University. You'll notice they're doing a good job answering that question all subscribers want to know. What's in it for me? They're selling the content, they're letting subscribers know their intentions, including how frequently they will be sending to them, and they're providing an archive that allows someone to see samples. Again, most DSPs, including Contactology, will provide a link in the subscription center to archive campaigns, so they make that easy for you. It's not enough to simply ask subscribers for their email address or even to ask them to sign up for our newsletter. Be persuasive both online and in person. So on the left, we have the obvious way. Do you want to sign up for our newsletter? On the right, Red Tricycle states the value, which is a free email newsletter that helps parents have more fun with their kids. Their intentions are clear, and they affirm privacy by stating they will never sell, rent, or share your email. So when you compare this to the first way of asking, you can see on the right is a way better sell. One other thing before we dive into the 10 opportunities, because providing an incentive is a great way to entice your subscribers and can be used for any one of the list growth opportunities I'm going to talk about today. So here you see a Marketing Profs webpage, which is offering a free Pinterest marketing kit as an incentive to sign up for their newsletter. Below that is Goodrich Quality Theaters, and they're offering a coupon and newsletter package deal. So when people sign up for their e-newsletter, it includes showtimes, new movies, and concession coupons. Both companies are offering different types of incentives because it's important to try to align your incentive with the type of content you intend to send or the relationship you're trying to build. And when providing incentives, keep in mind that some types of giveaways may not necessarily attract loyal subscribers. So here is an example from Explore Minnesota, who is a travel and tourism agency for the state. And they have successfully used a sweepstakes to help boost their list size. So on the left here is the actual sweepstakes. People could enter to win a trip. And then on the right, you actually see the list growth. So up until February, they were experiencing 5% list growth. And then in February, they launched the sweepstakes. And boom, 20% list growth, and this actually sustained until the end of the sweepstake. However, Explore Minnesota will tell you, in our experience, they have not been highest quality leads. A certain percentage of those people who like to sign up for sweepstakes are not necessarily looking for Minnesota travel information, they want the free trip. So Explore Minnesota realized this, and they're really good about trying stuff, and if something works, they stick with it, and if it doesn't, they try something else. I think that's a good lesson for everyone to keep in mind as we go through these different tactics. So at first glance, this might seem a little bit intimidating, but I'm going to walk you through this chart. It's a chart by Marketing Sherpa, and it's based upon a survey of more than 2,700 marketers, and they identified the top used list growth tactics relative to their effectiveness and level of difficulty. The vertical axis rates effectiveness, the horizontal axis describes the difficulty of the tactic, and the size of the red circles indicates the popularity of the tactic. Again, we came up with 10 that stuck out for us by comparing what has worked for our clients and things that we've seen work for other people. With this foundation, let's look at 10 opportunities for list growth. List growth opportunity 1 is collect subscribers at purchase and account sign-up. So based upon the previous graph we saw, you'll notice that this is the most effective tactic. And here we're looking at a page from Designer Imports, who is an online retailer of designer goods. And this individual is actually purchasing some sunglasses. And then in step 5, when they're entering their payment information, they have a checkbox asking customers if they would like to receive exclusive sales and offers. So this is a great example of a time to ask for subscriber information during purchase and account sign-up. Here are additional examples of using online checkout to grow your list. These are 2 companies you're probably familiar with. On the left here, we have Victoria's Secret, and you can see that they don't offer a checkbox if customers want to receive information from them. They assume that the email address customers provide for package tracking purposes is the email in which they want to receive promotions, and if they even want to receive promotions in general. So what if the customer doesn't want to receive information? This is a questionable practice that we do not recommend. On the right is an example from Nordstrom. Nordstrom holds themselves to a high level of customer service. I love Nordstrom because I can call their 800 number and a live representative answers the call immediately. I mean, that's something you don't always have. So as you can see, Nordstrom asks if customers would like to receive updates on the latest trends and products in the future. They affirm customer privacy, and they also inform customers that information and preferences can be easily updated on their account page. Another thing to note here is if a customer decides not to purchase an item but check that box, technically Nordstrom could target the customer for abandoning their cart and still send them latest trends to get them back in the store or back online. So the point is to try and get the opt-in as early in the checkout process as possible, or when you're asking for shipping information. So in-store and on-site work very much the same. You can do it the old-fashioned way with a fishbowl, or you can use something a little more recent like the QR code at checkout. But you can also use an integrated point-of-sale system or lobby kiosks. And you'll often see kiosks in museums or information centers. There are a few things to consider when asking for customers' email. Make sure your employees are following the opt-in rules. Everything I talked about prior to this point still applies. And so does being persuasive. So train your staff on how to ask for that email address. A company that does a great job asking for email addresses in person is, once again, Nordstrom. Nordstrom employees do receive commission on sales, so they have an incentive to ask for customer email addresses. But I do know that Nordstrom employees are trained on how to ask, how to not come across as pushy, and they inform the customers that when they ask for the email, they're going to send them invites to events, special sales, and they might even send you an email notifying you that something arrived in the store that the customer might like. So a lot of companies are asking for email addresses during purchase, but make sure you're auditing the process and make sure your employees understand the importance of customer email addresses, even if they don't have a direct incentive for gathering this type of information. Here's a campaign by the National Museum at Duke University. Just to give you a little history, the museum holds a family day, and on that day, sign-ups they get from the gallery information kiosks are used as contacts for this campaign you're seeing right here. When they do this campaign, which is fairly regularly, the most clicked link is buy a membership. Remember, your list growth is vital to your business model, and it's not necessarily list growth, but a benefit of list growth. List growth opportunity 2 is provide a link to your subscription center or sign-up form on all corporate publications and collateral. Whatever your organization is, you have publications and collateral. The point is, these are all touch points with your customer. And it's important not to have a long URL because these people aren't online. The URL isn't clickable. So they're going to have to take the time to type out contactology.com/newsletter. If you want to avoid using a URL, you can, again, replace it with a QR code. List growth opportunity 3 is forward to a friend. Red Tricycle, as we saw earlier, is an awesome company who finds opportunities for children and parents to connect. 90% of their subscribers are moms, and as Jackie, their CEO, told us, moms often share information among their friends. So for Red Tricycle, the best way to get a new subscriber is to get an existing subscriber to forward to someone they know. This won't work for every organization, but give it a try. If you do, include a forward link and use your ESP's forward feature if they have that, because you can measure how it's going and whether it's working. And then you can also use that data to give prizes or incentives for forwards. List growth opportunity 4 is customer service or support calls. Again, this is a touch point with your audience. Same as always, make sure you're following the rules for opt-in. If your company sends follow-up emails after a support or customer service call, include the link. Put it right there in the signature. Very easy to implement. You can even pitch the value of your email newsletter or email list while your customer is on hold if you have a recorded message. Who knows? Maybe the question they're asking would have been answered in the newsletter you sent them a week ago. And obviously, you don't want to annoy an already frustrated caller, so remember, the priority is to help the customer. If people are calling, they are already engaged. So Explore Minnesota uses this tactic, and they use it successfully. It doesn't necessarily lead to high numbers, but it captures people when they are very engaged. List growth opportunity 5 is events. Big events, small events, online events, offline events. I often hear that event really it's not in our budget, but I believe there is an event for every budget. We're talking about small meetups. It can be any size speaking event, trade shows, and even webinars. Okay, this isn't a shameless plug, but more of a great example of how to gain subscribers at a trade show. At trade shows, we offer a free copy of our email marketing ebook, which teaches you how to be the world's best email marketer. This is kind of similar to what we saw earlier with Marketing Props offering the Pinterest kit. If booth visitors want it, they simply sign up for a newsletter, either at the booth or on one of our iPads, and they get a triggered message with the ebook download. We've also built a subscription into our booth giveaway, but remember that all incentives are not the same, and so people who are wanting free stuff may not necessarily be the best leads and engaged subscribers in the long run. But back to the people who do sign up, if they want the ebook, we know they're going to be a good lead and engaged because they want to be good email marketers. And if you don't have the computer or iPad, don't worry, the fishbowl always works. You guys have seen it. And that being said, I know you're all wondering, how do I get this top secret email marketing ebook? It's actually already in your inboxes. So taking another look at the list growth tactic chart by Marketing Sherpa, you're going to notice the largest red dot is website. List growth opportunity 6 is your website. It's the most effective method for your effort. Some things to think about are locate your subscription center signup on the pages and places most likely to work. And you do this by spending some time studying your website analytics, like Google Analytics, to help optimize. Also look at what pages are receiving the most traffic, and not only the most traffic, but what pages are actually, where are people converting. And then your effort for a subscription should be aligned to your organization's mission. If what I just said doesn't make complete sense, don't worry, we're going to look at 5 different approaches to illustrate the previous points. Since Red Tricycle is a free newsletter provider for parents, that's the heart of their business model, so it makes sense that their homepage is all about the sign-up. Red Tricycle has an annual goal of 100% email list growth, and they do pretty well with it. They do it with SEO, great content, and website optimization. Jackie, their CEO, told us that when it comes to sign-up forms, we say make it as easy as possible. They don't ask for a lot of information. They don't make it tough to get the sign-up completed. You'll notice they're only asking for email address and the city in which you reside. Here's another page from Red Tricycle's New York website. There's a sign-up form on the left and a pop-up at the bottom. Both of these are inviting and are pitching the value of the content. Red Tricycle says that when they enter a new market, the first 5,000 or 10,000 subscribers are the hardest to get. After that, you get to a tipping point. It's going to be different for every business, but it does seem that all the hard work in the front pays off. It gets easier. Explore Minnesota has a different type of business, as you all know. I like their sign up because it's clever, cute, and it's prominent, but it doesn't distract from the site's content. All of the tactics used by Explore Minnesota, they say of all of them that this is the one that gets them the most engaged users because people are on their website because they already want to receive information. And then this is an interior page on Explore Minnesota's website where visitors can actually order printed brochures. And Explore Minnesota tells us that they found people who want to get mailed a brochure are very interested in making travel plans, and it's a perfect time and place to win that email subscription. So they can actually opt in on 2 different pages on this website. There's a form up there on the left, high up on the page, and there's also one at the actual checkout process. Missouri Life is a magazine, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's all about life in Missouri. They want to sign up, but it can't interfere with the news and articles and ads that are the primary focus of the site. So the sign up's a little further down the page, but you'll notice that it strikes a good balance. The Content Marketing Institute is all about the email address. They are content marketers, so that's why the sign up is so prominent here. It's eye-catching with a huge rainbow around it, and it says 30,000 of your peers have joined. And then they take it a step further. Anyone who hits the site for the first time will be greeted with this prompt right here. This would not be the best method for the previous 2 examples, but it does work well with content marketing. Here's a concept from Dangerous Minds. Dangerous Minds is a blog with content ranging from pop culture to politics and other miscellaneous oddities. It's a little different than what we've seen. You'll notice there's a bar at the top, which is always visible. You can click on any page in that website, and the social media icons and the newsletter sign-up are always at the top of the page. And notice while the social media channels get little icons, email newsletter gets a large prominent button. It says something, I think, to the potential return on investment for email. However, social media is so important, which is why it's list growth opportunity number 7. Social channels are there for interesting content. People want to be entertained. Think of email as an extension of this relationship. Email is the original social media. It ties social media channels together. Here's the Facebook page for Mitzvah Market, a great company that provides a newsletter for families planning bar or bat mitzvah. You'll notice the sign-up link, and it's direct appeal. It's simple. It says, sign up for our newsletter. Here's another concept, and the pitch is actually to get a free travel guide. When you click that app, you have the opportunity to fill out the information to get the travel guide, but you also have the option to opt into their email list. And Explore Minnesota told us that people who are ordering the brochures are people who are likely to be engaged and are very genuinely interested in traveling to Minnesota. They did acknowledge they don't know the exact numbers, but they would expect for these leads to be really high quality. And that just goes back to the point that all leads are not the same, and the reason they continue to use this tactic is because it generates good leads. Different from the previous 2 examples, here is a Facebook contest by Red Tricycle where they are promoting and asking people to join their list. Instead of offering a prize for the new sign-up, they're offering to donate to charity. And this is a great idea because it appeals to the generous side of your audience. It also weeds out those who are only interested in receiving free incentives for their own gain. Now let's talk about Twitter. In the Twitterverse, just like Facebook, let your content tell your list. Don't just say, like my post, click my link, read my blog. No self-promotion because you think you're awesome. Let your content tell others you're awesome. Post your newsletters to Twitter and tell people a little bit about the most interesting article, not just here's our newsletter. Your tweets hit your friends and your followers immediately, and then people can retweet or reply on Twitter, and their circles see it. But if your content isn't good, they're not going to share it. I mean, your mom might share it, but it's not going to get much further than that. So don't be discouraged if you have great content and it's not being shared. Tweets have a very short half-life, so you can resend a link to the same article a couple times before it's time to move on. And one more thing before we move on, we've also seen success through converting followers by offering email exclusive deals. List growth opportunity 8 is blogs. Blogs are a great place to win subscriptions. And here's an example from Copyblogger, who offers content marketing solutions and advice. You will notice the sign-up is not taking up the entire page, but it's effective. Just like CMI, Copyblogger informs subscribers that 170,000 are subscribed to their list. When it comes to blogs, you want to speak to customers' concerns and their interests, because Marketing Sherpa cited that 80% of blog readers are first-time visitors. Here are 2 more examples of blogs we love: the unofficial Apple weblog and this great email marketing provider we like a little bit. You'll notice the sign-up isn't intrusive, but simply makes it possible to subscribe to more interesting content. Some companies offer blogs separately from the newsletter, but I prefer a combination approach where the blog is worked into the newsletter. All right, we're wrapping up here, but I wanted to spend the time we have left looking at Motley Fool, who provides us with good examples of the last couple list growth opportunities. If you're not familiar, they are a multimedia financial services company who offers newsletters, blogs, and columns about investing in the market. They basically provide notes on ways to be a smarter investor. List growth opportunity 9 is search engine optimization. SEO is the process of getting traffic from the free organic listings on search engines. And what you're viewing here is a screenshot of what happens if you Google stock tips. And you'll notice it's not the first hit, but relatively early on, you'll hit this link to Fool.com. And this link takes you to a blog post, and here's the article. It's about groupthink and collective wisdom in an investment context. But notice how the headline and the keywords are engineered to show up in stock tips. So I just scroll down the page. Eventually, you'll hit their sign-up form. It's frictionless and easy, and it's all over their content. But you'll notice it does not dominate their content. They let the quality of their articles sell the sign-up because they'd rather have an engaged subscriber than lots of disengaged subscribers and a high bounce rate to match. Our last list growth opportunity we're going to discuss is number 10, pay-per-click advertising, which refers to online advertising. So this is an ad that appeared in an employee's Gmail account, and you'll notice that the ad is selling an interesting article. The iPhone is back on top. It's right up there at the top, just in case you didn't see it. And here's the actual article, and it delivers what is promised. And at the bottom, there's our familiar sign-up form. Now for a little bonus, we're going to dig a little deeper to see how their funnel works. This particular piece of content appeared in a couple places on their website. They're pitching a video on the end of the Made in China era. Once you get past the landing page, there's an opportunity to provide more information about yourself. It's optional, but if filled out, Fool.com can send more relevant targeted information in the future. With this, you don't want to create barriers when gathering information about subscribers, so if you wish to gather additional information, you might want to consider making that your call to action in the welcome email. And then you click the next page, and you get to an opportunity to sign up for additional deals and offers from advertisers. Again, Fool doesn't just automatically opt you in to receive this additional information. Finally, the video, the end of the Made in China era. It's an in-depth look at 3D printing as an investment opportunity for the future. The video explains why it's a great time to invest in companies around the printing industry. The video serves as great insight to the type of news premium subscribers receive. So after watching this 15-minute video, you have self-selected yourself as someone who would be interested in possibly subscribing to a premium newsletter. So they finally make the ask. You'll notice they're offering a discount and a money-back guarantee. A quick look at Motley Fool's Facebook and Twitter pages. You'll notice they are posting interesting content, and the links go to the articles where the pages are optimized, as we've seen, to collect signups. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this webinar, and I'd love to hear from you. If you experience success using these tactics, or maybe you have in the past, send me email at tiffany@contactology.com. And don't forget to sign up for our newsletter, contactology.com/newsletter. And with that being said, I'm going to hand things back over to Ben.
Great, Tiffany. Thank you so much for taking us through that. I think that's a good overview of really ways for anybody to look for ways to increase their list growth. So it's really interesting stuff. We are going to take some questions. We've got a few coming in. If you have questions, please go ahead and submit them through the interface there. We'll take as many as we have time for. Before we jump into questions, I do want to just mention a couple of points here. We will intend to make this content available to you in some capacity, whether that's slides or some form of that matter. We'll keep you posted on that as we're able to put that together. Second thing I want to mention before we jump into questions, we will be asking for just a couple more seconds of your time as you leave. We've set up just a short, very, very short survey. We're looking for your feedback on this webinar. We're also looking for other topics you might like to see covered in future webinars. As I said earlier, we are definitely committed to doing things to help others be better at email marketing. So please take a couple of seconds to give us some feedback, help us do better, help us improve. Okay, we're going to jump into questions. Tiffany and I are going to kind of handle these as we can, maybe a little more conversational than we've been doing before. And the first question we have deals with the type of information that you collect when you get a sign-up. The question is asking how much is too much? When can I ask for things like age or demographic or interest or preferences? And mostly what we looked at here deals with just getting an email address. So Tiffany, tell us a little bit about some businesses might want more information than just the email.
Yes, information is extremely valuable. It's how you're going to segment and target your subscribers. However, like I mentioned, you don't want to create any barriers. So we saw with Red Tricycle, they absolutely needed the email address, and they asked for first name probably because they want to offer some sort of level of personalization. They don't need much other information. I'm sure they probably ask for additional stuff later on, but I say only ask for what you absolutely need at that moment. So if you don't need their address, don't ask for that. So limit what you're asking them in the front, and then here we actually looked at Motley Fool, who gives people the option to update some of their personal preferences. And the thing with that, this is a lot of information, but if you are offering something of high value, like a webinar or maybe a really high value ebook, you can ask for more information up front, but it's going to be different for every business. There's not just, limited to 3, limited to 4. It's going to be different. So just think about what's imperative at that very moment and then try and ask for it later in that welcome email that we talked about.
Okay, we've got another question here dealing with double opt-in. For anyone who's not familiar, double opt-in is the process of getting an opt-in by the subscriber has to confirm their opt-in. So they say, yes, I'd like to subscribe, and it doesn't actually register until you send them a follow-up email and they confirm that way. So the question is, that this organization uses double opt for their newsletter sign-up, and they're seeing about 7% of the subscribers never confirm that subscription. And the question is that a typical percentage? I can't speak to whether that's a typical percentage. I can say that if I was using double opt and I had, that means 93% of potential subscribers are in fact confirming. And I would personally love to have that kind of rate for my own marketing purposes. We can do a little digging to see what industry benchmarks look like in terms of 7%. Is that a typical failure rate for that double opt process? But I think generally when we're talking about list growth, if your subscribers are coming in, and remember double opt is an extra layer. You're really trying to make sure you're getting engaged people who are actually interested. That means 93% of the people you're capturing, and however you're capturing them to begin with, are pretty interested. So I'd say that's a pretty good number that I personally wouldn't be. So maybe I need to have you put on a webinar for how to do it. And then, so we've got another question here. Just in case somebody missed this, the question was, will the webinar be available for download later? Yes, we will intend to make that this information available. So we're recording it. Hopefully that will work out, and we'll be able to send you all a link to watch it later. So I have another question here, Tiffany. How often should I send to my list? Once a day, too often. May get into questions about setting expectations early on.
You know, that's a good question. And I think that people oftentimes are afraid to send too frequently. And it's going to vary based upon your business model. Obviously, if you're a daily deals, you're sending every day. But I get this question a lot when talking about newsletters. And at the very minimum, you want to send a monthly newsletter. Try and send it weekly. But you definitely don't want to get away from quality content. So send as frequently as you can while still providing that value that you promised to your subscribers up front. And in this particular instance, feel free to email me if you want to talk more about your particular business model. I mean, I'd love to talk to you more about this.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Is that everybody's going to be different. You know, what works for one vertical is going to be probably very different for another. So do feel free. You see both our email addresses are there. It's what we're here for. Is to if you want to get specific or dive a little deeper, that's really what we are here to do. And you know, generally, I think that's it. Tiffany covered all those points, and it's really a function of when you are getting the opt-in. Be upfront about what your intentions are. If people sign up for a monthly newsletter and all of a sudden they're getting 5 times a day emails, they're going to unsubscribe. So be upfront and honest, because it's really the start of a relationship between you and your subscriber, and you want to get off on the right foot. I've got another question here. It's a good question, and it says, do you have any suggestions on where to start with SEO or how to tackle it? We could do a whole webinar on that topic, most likely. You know, this is one of those that, again, I think is going to probably depend on your organization and your model and the vertical you operate in, and we'll certainly be willing and happy to follow up and go a little deeper. But I would say generally a couple of considerations. I mean, SEO is something that you should sort of already be looking at doing for your own website. Obviously, you know, your keywords need to be there, and you know, you need to do your research and see what people are searching for and how that aligns with what you do. When it comes to your email marketing, you know, this is a little bit of an overlooked thing to do, but we highly recommend that you post your emails online. Most ESPs will give you some sort of, I think Tiffany mentioned earlier, some sort of way to archive your messages. The easiest way to get started with using SEO to grow your list is to, number one, have great content in the emails you're sending. And then secondly, when you set up your message, go ahead and post that message online. Now you've got, think of it as a mini landing page for your content, and you can start to promote that content on various social media channels, which is steadily, we hear, beginning to affect how search engine optimization works. And so the easiest way to get started with that is when you're already creating the content for your email, go ahead and send it to your archive, post it online, and now at some point that message will get indexed shortly after you post it, and it's searchable and crawlable, and it will start showing up. So all of this starts with great content. I think that's the one thing that ties all of the things we've seen. You're not going to get subscribers unless you have something of value to send them. And that's probably the subject of yet another webinar that we'll have down the road. But anyway, that's a good start, and we'd be happy to follow up with you on maybe a little bit of a deeper dive in specifics there. And I've got another question here. I don't know that I have a great answer to it because, again, it depends, but I think it's a really good topic for conversation. On the topic of frequency, how much does length factor in? With cutting a longish blast in half, and sending it as two separate pieces perhaps be better. I suppose that depends on what you define as long in terms of sending one email that's very long or breaking that concept up into two. One thing that might help you with that is to pay attention to what your reporting shows. After you send a message, send a long message, take a look at the heat map for your I've got a follow-up to that. So in their definition, long would be 5 or more links to different pieces of content for what they're sending. So that actually is really going to tie into what I was about to say then. Your reporting can answer this question for you, because in addition to just looking at your clicks, what links are people clicking through, you might check the heat map, which if you're unfamiliar is a graphical representation of where on your email message people are clicking. So you get a sort of sense of, well, this link got a lot of attention, this link didn't. If you're sending a campaign with 5 links, first thing you should do is look at that heat map. What conclusions can you draw, if any? Most likely you'll see, I think your question points to maybe the last couple links at the bottom of that newsletter or whatever that content is, aren't necessarily getting the kind of link traffic click traffic that you'd like to see. So that certainly the heat map can point to that right away, which would be an argument for breaking that up. And in fact, I get a follow-up there. That is exactly what they're seeing. So sure, 2 ways to think about that. First thing would be to break up the long campaign and, make sure you're not bombarding your subscribers. That, they'll by now, I'm sure, know what to expect from you in terms of content. But do go ahead and break it up. And then the most important part of that follow-up is check back in and see if you see any improvement. You can always incorporate split testing into this. You can do, Tiffany's nodding furiously. Tiffany is our split testing evangelist here at Conceptology. That's all she ever talks about. But, you might try, in addition to splitting it up, you might try doing a split test where you reverse the order of those links, just to see if that makes any difference. The more information you can have really helps you draw the conclusion about what to do. Really, it sounds like in a case where you're talking about long campaigns with lots of links, it's worth seeing what happens if you break it up into two. I wouldn't send them both in the same day, but if it's compelling content, I'm sure you should try and promote it. I've got another question here I'm going to kick to Tiffany, because I think she's had some strong thoughts on this stuff in the past. And early on in the presentation, you talked about events, whether they're events that you set up or something like a trade show where maybe your company pays for a sponsorship or something like that. And the question is, are events like that worth doing given the barrier? You said, I think in the presentation, that there's an event for everybody. But in terms of the return for list growth, Tiffany, can you talk to us about whether that is really a worthwhile tactic in the context of list growth?
Absolutely. Yes, I do believe there are events for every budget. So I guess a good starting place is to take a look at previous events that you've gone to and what was the effort you put into that, the money that you put into that at the time, and compare that to the leads you got out of that. And possibly maybe a large trade show wasn't super successful for you. Maybe you need to try a trade show in maybe a different industry, or maybe be an industry expert at a smaller speaking event. Since it's going to be different for everyone, I think you just really need to look at how much money you're putting into the event and take a look at your return on investment, and not just how many leads you're getting, but the quality of those leads. That's probably the most important part, is looking at the quality of the leads that you're getting from particular events.
Yeah, and I think that's something we heard from the events, the people who participated in talking to us about their experience. Not all leads are the same. Some are better than others. Another point, just to expand on that answer just a touch, when you go to an event, when you go to a trade show, when you do a webinar, for example, or have a meetup or a speaker, that's really a one-time opportunity. You have somebody come by the booth and that's it. You have your chance. You exchange business cards, you shake hands, you're done. If you can get them on your newsletter list, you get multiple takes at it. You have opportunity to market over and over, not just that one meeting. So if you're going to be at an event, certainly that's a list opportunity there, because it's only going to expand on the reason you're at the event in the first place. And then second, as Tiffany said, not all leads are going to be the same, and a face-to-face meeting really could be the start of a beautiful relationship, as they say.